Hi everyone and welcome back to my studio. If you're new here, I'm Diane, and 3 times a week I share videos with you coming from my studio in France, and we always try to find something nice and easy but rewarding to do, where we can learn a bit and have fun, and most importantly of all, just basically relax. Today I'm going to be doing this. I just did this 5 minutes ago, and at least I finished it, and I'm going to change a couple of things about it. I used my Michael Harding paints for this, mixing all the colours as I went along, but then I thought this would be an ideal one to do using the Kuretake set, which I have here. I have taken it out of its box. A lot of you will have the Art Nouveau, that's the one I'm referring to. A lot of you will have that, and this is it, but I've taken it out of its cardboard box and put it in a palette. This is an acrylic, supposedly acrylic palette, which has a lid. It's Masterson's make it. It's this one here. Someone gave that to me, and I didn't want to use it for that, so I thought, oh, it'll fit my Kuretake paints, and it does. So that works really well, but you might have them in a box like this. And if you don't, and you fancy them after you've seen me painting with these, they are lovely actually. They are so pastel. If you haven't got them and you don't want to buy them, and I don't blame you if you don't, you can just use white, mix a bit of white in with your ordinary watercolours, and you'll come up with something very similar to this. So this is a kind of swatching, I don't want to call it an exercise, although that's the word that comes to mind, but it's a, let's call it a colour mixing experience. You can practice your colours. I'm using a sheet of Meaden watercolour paper, and that's one of the things I've changed. This one is the Meaden cold press, which has quite a bit of tooth. We call it tooth. The texture, you know, that holds the paint. This is hot press, which has less tooth, and therefore the paint behaves in a slightly different way. So I just thought it would be interesting to try it out this way too. So I'm going to fold that back. And what I'm going to do, let's put it this way. I should probably organise my paints differently. I'll put that here, perhaps. I know you can't see them all when they're in this arrangement, but it's difficult. I could put my camera on a wide-angle lens, but then I'm not sure that that's actually better, because then I seem to be so far away. So anyway, let's start off with this. And I'm using a number 10 round. This is a Craftmo brush from the set that we have collaborated with Craftmo on, if you're interested in that. But otherwise, any brush will do really for this, especially for this. I might use another smaller one as well. This is another Craftmo one. As you know, I also really like the Drawwell ones from Japan, which you can get direct. I don't get any commission on that at all. It's just what I've always used for coming on for 30 years now. So what this is going to be is, I should sit down and try to keep my camera in the right place. You can pick up colours more or less at random, and what I had there in my original one was lots of pinks. And I was using actually a Holbein one called Shell Pink, which is almost exactly the same colour as this pink from the Kuretake set. And then the idea of this is just to literally paint squares, rectangles, whatever you like on your paper, and just to change the colours as you go along and have them kind of quite close together, almost touching, but different sizes, but just whatever, you can do whatever you like, whatever you feel like doing. And then you can change from the plain pink, you can go to a sort of apricot colour by adding some of this this brown colour here. You can add that to this pink, and that gives you this kind of I don't know, sandy colour really, I suppose. And you can do another one there. And then when we've done all of these and they've started to dry, we will just leave my cloth there to clean my brush off on. We'll put doodles on top. And you can put drops of water in if you want to make a bit more texture. Let's go to this pink now. I should have sprayed my paints before I started, but I didn't. So I'm going to do this one very light on one side, and then I'm going to pick up something a little bit darker just down in this corner, and then let that blend. And we're playing here with mixing colours on the paper, you know. Make that quite nice and close. You don't have to mix your paints. You don't have to pre-mix your paints. There's no law that says thou must pre-mix your paints. It's not necessary. You can if you want, but you don't have to. You can mix them on the paper as you go along, or in the palette here as you go along. And now I think it's probably time to put in a little bit of contrast on the other side of the colour wheel. So those are pinks, and obviously the opposite to that is going to be blue. So we'll go for a pastel blue. And this can be the foundation of so many other sorts of painting. You can use this as a background if you wanted to, if you did it slightly differently. Or even, well, you know, it's just, I'm sure your imagination is way ahead of mine. So that's a nice blue there. And then we could go for something a little bit in betweeny. Gosh, you are being silly. A kind of, maybe a sort of a little one, perhaps a little one like this, just as a complete contrast. And then I think we'll go back to the pink, or beige even. We've got some nice beiges here. When you get a new set of paints, one of the things that you need to do really is just try them all out and explore them so you know what you've got. And this is one of the best ways I can think of doing that. This is a kind of development of the one we did the other day. You remember we did some, we had some paper and we divided it into squares, and then we doodled on them. Well, it's basically we're going to do the same thing here, but we're going to doodle in paint initially. And you could, though, once you've doodled in paint, you could, if you wanted to, add some line work. That's entirely optional and open to whatever you feel like doing. And what I'm basically doing here, I'm not doing this so that I have a record of what the colours are, by the way. No, that's what we did the other day when we did the little squares and we put them in the ring binder kind of thing. But this is just to get familiar with our colours and how they mix and mingle. I'm going to go back to pink now. You don't necessarily even need to wash your brush out in between colours, because if you get a little bit of a mixture, it doesn't matter. Put a bit more pink in that one, perhaps at the top. That one's quite good, isn't it? Perhaps I'll put a bit of... that colour in the middle there too. And then what shall we do now? Do we want some more blue? A soft green, perhaps? That's turquoise mixed with this kind of burnt sienna colour. Okay, maybe we'll put a bit of something green in the middle. Let's have some more pink up the top, shall we, for the last row. Oh, I think I'll make that longer. I like to make them a bit like a brick wall, you know, overlapping. The next step is more interesting because you're going to do your doodles on top. So I think we might make the next one a little bit darker. A darker pink, perhaps. Just because it's darker, though, it doesn't have to be thick. You know, you don't have to use next to no water. You can, and if you haven't already tried this, and I want an orange now, a soft orange, so we'll go for this one with the pink and then dilute that down. If you haven't tried cold hot pressed watercolor paper yet, and you feel like a change, say you feel really fed up with, I don't know, perhaps you're just bored or just feel like trying something new. Because as you can see from what I did there, when you put the paint on to the hot press, it tends to sit differently and it doesn't soak in quite the same way as on cold press. So we'll put some pale pink in there like we started with, so we come full circle. So now what we have to do is come back in with our designs, and maybe I might go down to a slightly smaller brush for this, and this one is a size 5, I think. And what I quite like to do when I'm doing this is I quite like to keep in the same color family when I do the colors on top. So on here I would put something probably in a darker green, and on here I would put something in a darker brownish color, but you don't have to to do that. You can use contrast if you want. Yeah, there's so many different ways of doing these things, isn't there? Just picking up a couple of bits of probably stray cat. This is dried back. This is done what you could call a cauliflower or a back run, which is quite nice if you're doing this kind of thing, to have this kind of texture. You could probably smooth that out if you felt like it, but it wouldn't go away completely. So it might be better just to leave it and say, it looks a little bit like a map of Ireland or something. And they're nearly dry, but I'll probably just pop the hairdryer on just to make sure they are. Now, you might not want them to be completely dry because you might decide that you want to do kind of wet in wet designs. But if you do want them to be dry, then they dry pretty quick actually on this hot press paper. No problem with that. Now, the thing is, now when you come to do your doodles, what happens always is your mind goes blank, doesn't it? I always find that. And what I have, apart from the other thing I showed you the other day, I do have a binder here that I have labelled Doodles. And in it I've got, and I'm sure you have too, and if you haven't, it's a good idea, ideas that I've come across on other people's channels, on other people's tutorials and things that I've either followed or watched or whatever. All sorts of different ideas for what you can put on top of a swatch, a colour swatch. These ones are just done in Tombow or a fine liner of some sort. These ones were painted on. This one looks well, that one, yeah, that's mostly white pen actually, that one. This is my sheep, doodled the pond and cats. Yeah, so this is what I normally do, is have a look and see what I can see that I've done before that might work. See, these are quite nice, and these ones too. So I think probably this is the kind of thing maybe I might be thinking about doing. Yeah, you know, it's funny, you forget all these things that you've done, you forget all about them. So let's get rid of that for a minute. And yes, so yeah, let's do something like this. Perhaps some background lines in slightly darker tones of the colours that I've used here, and then maybe some lines on top, perhaps. We'll see how it goes. Right, put that there. So And move that over there a bit so you can see that a bit, and so can I. Okay, well, I don't really know how this is going to work out, but we'll, keep going, because why not? Right, so that's pink, isn't it? This is dark pink. So let's find a bit of pink and let us play. So we can go the other way too. Okay, and the next one is a little bit darker, so we'll go a little bit darker too. And maybe we will do a flower, perhaps. This is where you suddenly think, oh, I should put some music on, and oh, I should get a cup of coffee, isn't it? And but I'm listening to the birds singing outside. Maybe you can hear them. And a little bit of an aeroplane in the sky there too. Okay, and the next one is kind of orangey, so we'll just add a bit of orangey colour to that mixture. And then maybe we'll do one, what shall we do? Should we do one like that? Circles. Okay, and the next one is quite a pretty one, the sort of gradation here. So we'll go back to the pink, pale pink, I think. Maybe add a bit of that to it. And I think this one is kind of asking for a branch of leaves. If you do try this paper, you will find it adorable. I actually really like the smoothness of it. And not all hot press is like this, but this Meaden one has a very nice feel to it. It really does. I really do like it. I'm totally genuine about that. Okay, so that's quite nice. And we could come back and do another layer on there of bits and pieces. But you see how we are practicing here our brush control, our mixing, the understanding of how when you put one colour on top of another, it changes it, and so on. How it feels. Working on this paper with this paint. And so this one is turquoisey, so we'll pick up a bit of turquoise and maybe knock it back a bit with that green that happens to be sitting there. And what should we do on this one? Why don't we have, it really doesn't matter what you do, why don't we have some small flowers? Can anyone tell me where the summer has gone? We're still getting overnight temperatures of, in centigrade, about 5 degrees, which is not that far above freezing, I would like to say. And it's June. And it's not right. Okay, so I'll do some circles as well on this one. The beauty of doing something like this is that it doesn't matter. You matter, but it doesn't, right? That's the thing. It's important that you to create art, but it's not important what you create. It's very important that you create. Well, I don't know. Why not? Let me see. What should we do here? Anything else that's inspiring here? We could do, I know, we could do some dots. And you just let it develop, you know, just whatever happens, happens. And we could have up here, let's do a flower starting in the middle and gradually make it bigger. Okay, and beige now, a little bit of beige. Let's do a spiral, but make it different colours of brown, just going round. Don't know if you can hear the cat meowing out there. If I bring him in, he'll meow in here. If I take him out, he'll meow out there. Should I put something in the middle there? Maybe I shouldn't have done, but never mind, I did. Now this funny green one that went all wonky. Interesting. Let's fill the cloud up. Looks like a cloud, doesn't it? Fill that with circles. Just leave that one like that, I think. And then up here we've got another pink one that obviously needs to reflect this one, doesn't it? A little bit, so. And once we've done all of this, then we could, like I said, we could use a pen of any sort, shape or description to enhance whatever it is that we've done in paint. Or we could just leave it and go and have lunch. Ooh, I don't know. Let me look at my other original there. What can I do? Oh, I know. Let's do this. Have a kind of dark spiral little one in the middle, and then petals like that. We planted some geraniums yesterday in tubs outside and a hanging basket. I've been meaning to put a hanging basket outside the studio for about 10 years. Finally managed to do it yesterday. It looks very pretty. And the last one, let's just do a rose by any other name. You know, the kind of semicircle type thingy. Rose petal type of thing like that. Okay, so there we are. That is it. And so we have that. So now what we need to do is let it dry, or dry it, and decide whether or not we're going to embellish it any further. Well, I think in the circumstances, that is probably as done as I want to make it. So I'm going to leave it like that. So as I said, I was using the Kuretake Art Nouveau set for this, and this is it in its pristine form. Has not yet been opened, and colours are on the lid, and you can do a swatch there and so on and so forth, so you know what you've got. So if you're interested in those, they are available on Amazon. And they were out of stock for a long time, but now they are available again. But you don't need to use those. You can use anything you already have. To get these pastels, just add some Chinese white to the colours as you go along, or simply paint them lighter. Or if you don't want to do it in pastel, which is completely up to you, obviously, just paint whatever colours. And it's a great way of relaxing and chilling out and just generally feeling, you know, all's well with the world. So don't forget to like and subscribe, turn on notifications. Go over to our website, dianeantone.com, for lots more information and stuff over there. And consider perhaps joining Patreon to support us, or the YouTube membership, which is another option. We are going to be upgrading and revamping and improving our Patreon offering soon. We're in the middle of doing that right now, and anyone who joins will soon be treated to some extra special features before very long. So I think the cockerel wants me to go. So I'm going to go now, and I'll see you again soon. So I'll say bye-bye for now, everybody. Bye-bye.